Hello everyone, my name is Seth and today I'm going to give you my review of The Penguin. The Penguin is a spin-off show from The Batman, and I loved The Batman. I loved Colin Farrell as the Penguin in The Batman. He had just a great little role in that. He wasn't on screen for too much, but he made an impact every time he was on screen. But honestly, I wasn't so sure about a Penguin show whenever they first announced it, but I definitely wanted more in this world that Matt Reeves built, so I was looking forward to it. The trailers ended up making me so much more excited for this show, and I have to say, this show definitely surpassed my expectations. But before we go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We are on the road to 300 subscribers, so if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you're not new here, share this video around with any friends or family. It'll absolutely make my day. So first and foremost, I just want to say that I absolutely love this show, and honestly, it's one of the best comic book shows ever. I know that's really high praise, but it deserves it. One thing I think that was absolutely phenomenal was that the transition from the big screen in the Batman to TV here with the Penguin was absolutely seamless. Everything from the performances to the cinematography and the color and the score, just everything works together and it absolutely feels right at home with the Batman. It really just feels like a natural extension to what we got in the Batman. I want to go ahead and start with the writing, and one of the main writers, the showrunner for this show, is Lauren LaFranc, and she did an absolutely incredible job. She definitely deserves recognition for this show. Like I just mentioned about how seamless this transition was from the big screen to TV, the writing really helps in that. It just feels like a natural progression for the Batman story. And this is just a really well-written script. I mean, I know it might seem kind of odd to have to bring this up, and it might be like an obvious thing to mention, but I'd have to say, overall, this story is just really interesting and really intriguing. We have a lot of different groups here kind of vying for control of Gotham after what the Riddler did in the Batman. There's so many people here that have the same goals and different ideas of what control for Gotham really means, and that really sets up some interesting situations for our characters. This makes for some really intriguing conflicts between characters, and it puts characters in tough situations. It really squeezes them and forces them to make a decision. And that's what you want to do. You want to take your characters and put them in tough decisions and let their character decide what decisions they make and have that influence the story going forward. And they absolutely do that here. They do it so well, so naturally. The characters all make choices that make sense for their characters, and not just because the script says so. And their choices are really what moves this story forward. And this is just a really good crime story. It's like The Sopranos, but in Gotham. And you can definitely see the continued influence from the Long Halloween story. And I think all of this just does an incredible job of fleshing out the world that was established in the Batman. And so now in the Batman 2, any other series that might be coming forward, there's just so much depth to this world now. And we'll have more of a connection to this world and to other characters that might show up later. And the creators have said this next part, so it's not a spoiler, but Batman doesn't show up, but it makes sense for him to not show up. What's kind of going on in the show, the events of this show, for the most part, it wouldn't really be at the top of Batman's priority list, especially after everything that had happened in the Batman. But at the end of the show, I would say that's a different story. And I think the events here in this series perfectly set up the Batman 2, and I can't wait. Another standout thing about the writing to me is just how well the characters themselves are written. And honestly, kind of crazy how they're able to make you feel different things for these characters. For example, there's some times where maybe you start to kind of root for Oz, and then he does something where you're like, oh yeah, no, I almost forgot. He's a terrible person. And I love how they don't try to make him an anti-hero just because he's the main character of the show. He is through and through 100% a villain. He is a terrible, evil person. He just so happens to be the protagonist of this story. And also, you aren't just told why Sophia Falcone is the way that she is. You don't have characters to just explain things to you like that. You see it. We are shown how Sophia becomes the person that she is when we first meet her in the show. And we also see her develop even more over the course of this show. And everything with her character just feels so natural and so earned. And I think it's the same thing with Vic. I loved Vic in this show. He's a character that you definitely can root for. You end up feeling sorry for him and you want him to do well, but you just know that he has gotten himself into a bad situation with the wrong types of people. And there are so many characters in this show that have really complicated relationships with one another, but it all works and it makes you invested in basically every character we see, but especially the main characters we focus on. I honestly just can't say enough good things about the writing of this show. I mean, I think this could be a show that in future screenwriting classes, you show your students this, like, it just shows how to write characters and how to write an intriguing story that has consequences for your characters. The show overall is just so smart and interesting and compelling. Like, you just have to see what happens next. And the performances here are absolutely Emmy-level performances. Honestly, go ahead and start engraving the Best Actor Emmy with Colin Farrell's name because he gave such an incredible performance in this show. His performance is just so deep and nuanced, and the fact that he's able to do all of this under the makeup and prosthetics that he has to wear is just incredibly impressive. We get to see a couple different sides to Oz, and that's much appreciated, but he also takes everything that we loved and everything that was good about his performance in The Batman, and he just expands upon it here. His performance makes you feel something, like you feel different kinds of emotions when you're watching this character go throughout his story, and you don't necessarily feel empathy for the character, but like sometimes you even feel like anger, like you want Batman to come beat up the Penguin. And I think everything we see here with Oz is just a sign of a great performance from Colin Farrell. And honestly, the same goes for Kristen Milotti. Go ahead and start engraving her Emmy too, because she absolutely deserves it. She gives such a powerful and magnetic performance. And you absolutely buy her character arc over the course of the whole show. You can see kind of a subtle change from somebody who's relatively normal, who just so happens to kind of be in this crime family, to then transitioning to kind of this cold-hearted mob boss. Like, you believe every single step of the way, and every single step Kristen Milotti gives a very deep and nuanced and detailed performance. You're drawn in to her every single second she's on screen. Like, you don't want to miss anything about her performance. Renzi Feliz, who plays Vic, is great in this too. His chemistry with Colin Farrell is really incredible, and I love seeing these two characters on screen and interacting together, and that's partially because of the performances. There's a lot of different kinds of emotions involved in Vic and Oz's relationship, and it works so well because you believe everything that these actors are doing. Renzi Feliz does such a great job of having different layers to his performance. You believe that he's just this young kid who at the core is good, but he's just fallen in with the wrong group. He's the character you really can empathize with, and his performance is a big part of that. Every other side character in this was very well acted as well. Clancy Brown is always incredible in anything he's in, And he has some really subtle moments in this that just shows how talented he is as an actor. Deidre O'Connell as Oz's mom was really fantastic. Michael Kelly, Thea Rossi were also great. Honestly, no matter how big or small the role is in this show, the actor does a great job with what they're given. And I know I mentioned that earlier, but the cinematography and the color in this show is really great. It feels right at home being a companion to the Batman, and the cinematography for the Batman was beautiful, and that carries over here. I think the score is also incredible. It's not something that is distracting. It enhances everything you see on screen, but it's something that you notice. Like there's a few times in the show where the Penguin's theme kicks in and it gives me chills. I know this video has just kind of been me praising the Penguin for the last however many minutes, but honestly, it's well deserved overall. This is one of my favorite shows of the last few years. This is one of the best comic book shows. It's so incredibly well written. The performances are award-winning level good. The cinematography, the color, the score, all of it is great. It expands the world of the Batman, and it gives this whole world just so much more depth, and we have more connections to characters, and that's going to do nothing but improve the viewing experience going forward in the Batman 2 or any other spin-off shows that they decide to do. The writing in this is exceptional. It's extraordinary. And this show absolutely surpassed my expectations. I know they said that this was a limited series. I'm really hoping that we do end up getting a follow-up, not just focusing on another character, but I would love to see more from the Penguin. Honestly, I can't recommend this show enough. If you liked the Batman, I think this is must-watch TV. Not because I feel like you'd be lost if you just jumped into the Batman 2 without seeing it, but just because of how good this is. This is something that I don't think you want to miss. But that's it. That's my review of The Penguin. Have you seen this show? Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.